Well, the thing tells me we're live now and broadcasting. So, No Driving Gloves joins you for the first time in, is it 2 weeks or 1 week? I don't know how long we took off.
It's been a month for me.
Well,
We're back, baby.
We're used to that now. For those that normally watch
5 weeks.
Some of those that normally watch the video feed, we did release an audio only podcast on Monday, dealing with shop labor rates and trying to justify or help. Again, I don't know if it's justify, help explain why dealerships and even some independent shops are $150, $170 an hour for labor, and that they aren't actually making any money doing that. It's a podcast kind of worth listening to. I throw that one out there. We don't talk about what we're doing anymore. So what do we want to talk about, guys? Is there anything that's happening? Will just learned about the new Ford electric crate motor, but.
Well, Will just learned about hourly shop rates too from listening to our last podcast. So.
Well, I threw out there that we could
probably. Is that how you do it? Hourly? You just bill by the
hour? If you could actually bill by the hour, I'm sure you don't bill for every hour.
Oh no! I wish I could bill for every hour.
Yeah. What's your rate now? $50 an hour? Is it 20, 25? Where are you at? 22.50. Nice.
Yeah, 22.50. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Say, geez, I should have brought that part that I needed painted up to you. I ordered the paint off eBay in little rattle cans, but it's official automotive paint. Got it. Ended up looking really nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a picture of it right behind him.
Yeah, I just kind of like that wrap. I can't name any one of those damn tracks, but I like that wrap.
I mean, really, all you'd have to do is put they need to make a chalkboard wrap, and you could put it on your car, and then let the kids go to town with like marker and chalk, and
they do make a
probably come out
wrap.
about the same.
They do make a chalkboard wrap, and you can actually do that. And then you've got the guys that paint their cars or paint cars with Sharpies. And there used to be a guy that came to Imports at Carlisle every year with a Volvo 780 wagon, 740 wagon, something like that. That was painted chalkboard green with chalkboard paint. And he would just put chalk out, and kids would come and people would draw on the car all weekend. And I never went and looked closely because I'm sure there were some things drawn that were not necessarily family friendly.
Well, there you go. What's the guy that it looks like he's on Fremont Street, where give him a tip and put him in any position. You just paint your car with chalkboard paint, and for a tip you give them a piece of chalk, and for a minute they can draw whatever they want to draw. There you go.
Right.
Business plan.
Not bad.
That sounds like a lot of work.
We give away all the good ideas on here.
That would be a pain in the butt.
Here, you got $5, and I'm not getting paid to sit there and let somebody draw my car with chalk.
So why not get some piece of crap that you don't care about, like a mini truck or something, and paint it and call it a good day.
I was thinking minivan. You got more real estate.
Oh yeah.
Well, it just crossed my mind.
Minivan.
Our former guest, Keith Chulik, came on and talked about wraps. The major portion of his business right now is he's wrapping cars in Atlanta with those advertising things. A company will pay you $400, $500. I don't know. I've never asked him how much the people actually own the cars get paid to wrap your car with their advertisement. And he gets a fortune to put the wrap on and then take the wrap off, and he changes the wraps like every 30 days because the ads change. What if Will did that on his next, say, his car is debuting at SEMA. Instead of painting it, you had somebody wrap it with an advertisement. Verizon Wireless.
Well, number one, SEMA wouldn't let that happen. I think, that's what you need to do, Lane. You just need to wrap a car and give you gas money. SEMA's pretty picky on advertisement for companies that don't vend at their event. They're real stickler about that. But that would be kind of funny. And you'd think you should get the cream of the crop. You should get big money for that, as much exposure as a car like that would get.
Well, I'm even thinking if you showed up with it to debut it there, and then SEMA didn't let you put it in, and then you could say the customer wanted it that way. This is the customer's vision, and SEMA's not going on. And the amount of rogue press you could try to get out of it, you could probably win more by not being in the show.
I can promise you something. The shows that we go to, if you have a car that's completely wrapped, you're not going to win much. You might win some. Now there has been some really, really nice cars that's came out that's had, like the roof had a wrap on it, or certain little pieces have been wrapped and they've done really well. But you come out with a car that's wrapped, I don't think we're quite ready for that yet.
That's as soon as that's how you debut your first electric build, all wrapped, all electric.
Ooh, I can see that actually. A little like electric, like, sparks and just pathways on the vinyl. Just yeah.
I bet you could inlay.
That's why you put cars back original, Derek.
I bet you could do,
because I have too many good ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Some sort of inductive wire, and you could actually do what Derek's talking about. It'd be a cool thing to do to a resto mod.
Well, aren't they making the wraps that you can put power to, and they'll actually change color?
I think they are.
Y'all are being rough on me. It's because I hadn't been here in 5 weeks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we've been
trying to get me riled up, John.
We've been practicing.
I've got some hostility built up that I need to let out anyway. But I don't know if tonight's the night.
Who are you?
That's okay. You want to talk? We could talk about poor drivers that hit people's cars. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, you've had a rough day too.
Yeah.
I
was telling Derek before you got on. I said, "Oh, that's just a Monday for me." I'll tell you about my last four Mondays after the show, and it's not me, fortunately. I just have to do all the work. Oh, so. Those are the exciting things happening. All of my press releases are electric garbage trucks, electric crate motors from Ford. I can't remember what the other electric thing I was reading about today. So Will was right. We don't want to talk about electric cars today. Recycled batteries from Tesla was another one. And that's one of the notes I didn't put up here, Derek, of pending guests that are upcoming.
You finally got your buddy Elon?
Not quite, but we're close.
Oh, dang. All right. Well, you said something interesting. Did you just mess up, or did you actually mean to say electric garbage trucks?
No, I actually said electric garbage trucks.
I thought we weren't going to talk about electric vehicles.
That's it. No. It's interesting because you think about it, and some garbage facilities have converted over to be able to use, process and use the methane gases as a fuel in their fleet vehicles, in their garbage fleet vehicles.
Battle Motors, CCC, and Velocity Truck Centers begin sales of Battle electric refuse trucks.
But it could be interesting because you could use the methane to actually generate electricity, which then they would generate their own electricity to charge the garbage trucks.
Well, that's almost perpetual motion.
Well, not really. It's just generating your own electricity. Anyway. But it's an interesting theory because they would be able to use the methane, of course, burn the methane off to create a mini power plant, steam power plant to steam generate electricity with a dynamo.
Oh,
I mean,
why not just make steam powered garbage trucks?
Let's talk about Top Fuel
Well, we could. Because you could take that new Ford Crate electric motor and put it into one of those Top Fuel dragsters and make an electric dragster.
Well, let's give Will a minute. Maybe he's actually going to have a productive conversation. I mean, there's a bunch of people watching us, and I'm going,
They're slowly dropping off.
Listen, they're shoving this electric stuff down our throat, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest here, guys. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't want to talk about it a lot. I hear about it enough. And, maybe we need to start an electric car podcast and talk about it. Because, I mean, there's a lot of topics about it and a lot to talk about. But I don't want to talk about it every time I'm on a podcast.
We just like giving you a hard time, Will. Come on.
Okay. I can tell. Yeah.
Okay, we got rid of Will.
I can talk myself out of something real quick, out of the whole deal. John has the.
What you should have. It would have been even better if you would have gotten up and walked away. So when you came back, you just weren't there.
That's why I was so quick, because I could see Will doing that, and then we'd have to sit there and look at his office. The rest of the show.
I'm in the office at the shop. Yeah. So
what is it with the Top Fuel dragsters, Will?
Oh, I was just, we're talking about super efficient vehicles, and I just completely flipped it to the most inefficient vehicle on the planet. So that was the only reason.
I don't think it's inefficient.
Wait. But relate that to Lane's comment that he just made. I think Lane.
Yep.
But he's talking about the fact that, E85 was supposed to be a big thing, fell off for everyday use, which it really has. We've gone back to the E10, E15s. The flex fuel seems to have disappeared, the idea of the flex fuel engine. But as he says, of course, ethanol produces the big power in racing. I mean, that's your alcohol, Top Fuels, ethanol power, all that. So why don't we talk about that? Because it is interesting.
Yeah, I really wish E85 would have done more than what it did. I like Jason's efficiency throwing up here. But E85 is it's not efficient to really run through your car. It does make more power, and it does have less of a carbon, imprint, footprint, whatever you want to call it. I like E85, the little Datsun that we did with the 2JZ swap with the big turbo. It runs on E85, and it makes gobs and gobs of power, and it smells kind of funny when you're pulling up, So I'm a fan of alternative fuels. I'd rather see us spend more time moving towards alternative fuels than going electric. And electric cars have come a long way, but they're never going to be what it's like to be behind a Chevelle with a big block Chevy, or a supercharged or turbocharged 2JZ on E85. It's just not the same, and it never will be the same, and I don't like it.
Go into that though? What's not the same for you? What do you mean by that?
The sound, the smell. I mean, you get the torque, you got the power, but there's just something about driving a car. There should be. You should have that sound. You should have, shifting gears and the smell of gas. I mean, that's just what it's supposed to be. And in my line of work, as long as they don't, completely outlaw internal combustion engines, then, I'll be fine. But, and I'm a fan of change. I like changes, but I just totally see this going down a path to where the government is going to try to rule it to where they're trying to end the hot rod industry. They're trying to end the racing industry. They're everything that I enjoy, they're trying to make it extremely hard to do. And I'm not a fan.
And I'll agree with you on that. I mean, I'm not, everybody knows I'm not the racing, that big into racing, things like that, going out and doing it myself. Now, the history of automobile racing, I get into, but it's also hitting the antique car industry, or the antique car hobby, I should say, industry/hobby, because there is an industry behind antique cars, the restoration world, parts world. And, it's making it difficult to own those and operate them and do the things we want to do with them. And as it gets more and more regulated, if it gets more and more regulated, it's going to do the same thing in that. I mean, really anything that is not a modern day car with all of the, federal regulations met, it's going to be harder and harder to get involved with that.
Right. And, one of the things that the hot rod industry has done, and James Pryor's made a statement here about how does E85 affect older vehicles. What's up, James? How's it going, buddy? You have to kind of make a vehicle run on E85. You can take a fuel injected car and run it on E85. But you need bigger fuel line, bigger injectors for it to be efficient. And talking about that in the hot rod industry, we follow late model trends. That's kind of our thing. Just about every car in the shop has got a fuel injected engine in it. And one of the big reasons is, well, it is boring, but to run on today's fuel and today's oil and stuff like that, these people like driving their cars. They enjoy getting in them and going. So if I stick a carburetor on a car, this customer generally will call me once or twice a year. Car's not running good. Okay, bring it in the shop. Let's clean the carburetor out, get all of the white crap out of it from where it's been running, the modern fuels with all the alcohol in it. Or you can just make it fuel injected and you don't have to worry about it. It'll crank every time unless there's a wire come off or some goofy something or another. And it's a lot easier to manage. And they've already forced that down our throats. Nothing sounds better than a FE big cubic inch stroked out FE Ford with a big carburetor sitting on top with a big ass cam and a bunch of compression. I mean, but they sound different with fuel injection. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some really badass sounding fuel injected cars out there, like the black and white 57 we just finished. But I mean, we've already done that, and it does make it easier on these shop owners. They're not having to go and tune carburetors and clean out fuel tanks and stuff like that. I mean, we can deliver a car. They can run 87 octane in it if you don't get crazy with compression and stuff. And so that is one of the things that has made our job a little easier, especially on the back end of giving the car back to the customer. It can sit in their garage for 6 months with a battery tender on it, and when they go out there, it's going to fire up. It's not going to sit there and flood itself and act crazy. So that is one of the benefits to fuel injection, and it makes them more efficient, less of a carbon footprint, whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and you're getting into the antique car world and classic car world where you're not changing over to fuel injection, stuff like that. You're trying to keep it original. One of the big things I always talk with people about that own early cars, and y'all get phone calls from people, is when you've got a carburetor, like you said, Will, if you're going to own an old car, especially an antique car, classic car that's got a carburetor, you'd better be willing to work on the car or have somebody work on it for you, because you're going to have to adjust it a couple times a year. Weather changes, things like that. You typically make little adjustments here and there, especially on the early cars. But then, I mean, you have to have a whole understanding of the fluids that need to be used in those cars, right, and what they were back in the day versus what we have now. Because, as you know, Will and John, I mean, I can't go put new synthetic oil in my 1919 Chevy. It doesn't have the additives, it doesn't have the zinc, doesn't have the phosphate, it doesn't have the things it needs to protect that early engine. So, I wind up, almost all of my early cars have Rotella in them, which is diesel oil, because it still has zinc and, proper zinc levels, phosphate levels. And then when you get to the transmission on an early car, the straight cut gears, most of us that are in the antique car world are mixing our own gear oils to put into those transmissions to make them, thick enough to make it able to be double clutched correctly. And even in my 1919 Chevy, I mixed up my own mixture based on what I've used in other cars at the Crawford and, places like that. And even in some of my other early cars, and drove it down the road, and clearly it was a little too thick. So I took it out. I had to drain the whole transmission, which not a big transmission in a 1919 Chevy, let's be honest. And I thinned it down, mixed it back up, put it back in, took it for a test drive. And that it takes time. You got to be willing to work on these things if you're going to keep them in the old setups with carburetors and, not go through and rebuild them completely to modern specs to run modern fluids. So it's something you have to keep in mind throughout the whole thing is you can't just run down and pick up a quart of 10W30 Valvoline off the shelf at AutoZone and just dump it in, because you're going to wind up doing damage.
Yep. And
that's my rant.
It's even that way. I mean, on a flat tappet cam in a small block Chevrolet, if you don't put a roller cam in it, good chance you're going to wear the cam out pretty quick, especially if you don't put the right stuff in it, So, and that's another thing that why we like late model engines in most of the cars that we build is they can stop at O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Advance, Napa, whatever, and just grab a quart of oil off the shelf, change the oil, get a filter, and be about their way. A lot less maintenance. Hook a computer in it, and hook a computer up to it, and change the tune or see what's wrong with it and fix it. Two of my customers are actually late model car mechanics, so they have all of the tools to fix their car at home. So, yeah, I mean, I am a fan of fuel injection. I think it's a good thing, and I don't know of many people that are scared of it anymore. I mean, a lot of people are scared of buying a Holley HP or Dominator and a unterminated harness and building their own harness for something that's generally not fuel injected. It's a whole lot easier to just snap a sniper on it or something like that. But and I'll be honest with you, it was something that I was a little intimidated by until I went to a Holley EFI training, and you get a lot of handouts and a lot of paperwork and the right phone numbers to the right people that you meet in class that's done it before, and a guy named Mike Bell that I met at Holley dealer EFI training. We become pretty good friends, and we talk a lot on stuff that we're trying to push the envelope on a Dominator to get it to control, hands-free windshield wipers. It senses the rain and wipers come on automatically like in a late model car, and he's messed with it a lot more than we have. So, I mean, there's a lot more that you can do than just fuel inject your engine with a Dominator or an HP.
Well, somebody posted a picture on, sorry, Derek, one of my mini trucking pages.
Oh my God. Here we go with the mini trucks.
Of a 94 Isuzu pickup that he bought, a 94 pup. Actually, if I would have known it, I might have bought it. Cheap enough and cool enough. That was the last carbureted vehicle sold in the United States. So we're looking not even 27 years ago. That's an entire generation of people I mean, whoever was born in say 94, and you've got 27-year-old mechanics in the new car dealerships now. They've never even seen a carburetor, have no idea. I mean, ours was the last class in 96, I think it was, to rebuild a carburetor in modern automotive technology. The following year, the carburetor program was completely eliminated from it. So, yeah, I think fuel injection, like you've said, Will, it's right there. There's, just the people that are building cars are coming into the industry just don't have a clue. It's kind of, you're always going to have the advantage that you can build and take care of these cars with carburetors, just like Derek can build and take care of these cars with wooden frames and flame ignitions or whatever. You're going to have a specialty market in 20 more years. And you can follow what, Kim Rich posted here, is that they're afraid it's going to only take a long life battery and the internal combustion engine's dead. That's really paraphrasing what he said or what was said. I'm sorry, Kim. I don't know if you are, but that's the comment he put up. And I don't disagree with it. And as we get generational changes, hot rodding is founded in the, really World War II and what was available. And then in the 50s, and it's not changed. It's a very resistant to change hobby. And I'm amazed to see it changing as rapidly as it is, even though it's not rapid.
Okay. Wait. I want to touch on something there because, and this is probably a large hypothetical, but I think it could be an interesting conversation. Of course, hot rodding based in the, as you say, John, based very much in the returning soldiers from World War II, coming back, putting together jalopies, if you will, whatever term you want to use for the hot rods that they were building. And they were basically going, they had a very tight budget when they got back. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of vehicles because we just hadn't produced cars for a number of years during war production. And so they went to the junkyards and started pulling, a cheap old Ford out of the junkyard, a Model A or something. They'd grab an old, 32, 33 flathead V8 and start building it the best they could. And obviously an industry built around that. But will a switch to the auto industry going to all electric in modern vehicles have an impact on the hot rod industry from the aspect that it will get more creative in guys returning to that idea of going to junkyards, finding internal combustion engines and parts that are in junkyards and starting to put together hot rods again, much like they did in the mid and late 1940s and early 50s, rather than relying on the industry that's out there, which they'll still buy some parts. You always will, but might it make it more creative in the fact that they're going to go out and go back and find junkyard parts?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean,
wait, you both, one said yes, one said no. I want to hear this. Go, Will. Go.
If Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler and all quit making internal combustion crate engines, then that's what you're going to have to do. And I mean, I have no problem with that whatsoever. When I grew up, that's what we did. And Lane Kelton made a statement there where, we grew up. That's how we grew up. We grew up going and getting a junkyard engine and rebuilding it and putting it in our car, and then would call Lane's dad, Dr. K, to sell us a wiring harness to fuel inject it. And, you couldn't buy I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't go buy a crate motor that had a 2-port fuel injection on it back in the 90s. And that's what we did. I mean, that's how we did it. That was the economical way to do it. And if they quit making crate engines, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the projects in the shop right now are all crate engines. So
you're counting the crates in the corner of your office.
Yeah, I'm looking through. Yeah. I mean, if that's what happens, of course, you got companies like Blueprint that, you know, their business is based on internal combustion crate engines. So, you know, as long as guys like that keep moving, because there's a couple of projects in there that have Blueprint crate engines, not from, you know, one of the big three. So, you know, as long as Blueprint and some of those other guys keep doing it, they'll still be around, but they'll either have to start casting their own blocks, which Blueprint already does that, a good bit of it, casting their own heads and stuff like that. If not, they're going to be in the junkyard buying, you know, blocks and heads and stuff like that and rebuilding them.
All right, John, why'd you say no?
Well, I said no, and it's here. I'm going to go to James Sprier's statement here. That was the parts store, the local junkyard. I just spent a day dealing with junkyards and viewing inventory and that. The junkyards aren't going to stock this stuff. They're going to stock the stuff that moves. It's not, you're going to have to dig in, you know, the old farmer's backyard, etc. Hopefully the government hasn't come and, you know, crushed everything and gathered everything up, and the people that are living in the Midwest and rural areas are going to have the you know, run of those parts cars and that. But it's not going to be as simple as going to a junkyard and digging through to find your donor motor in that, because by the time we've made this transition to electric, say by 2035 or something, a lot of those gasoline powered cars are going to be shuffled out of the junkyards and recycled at that point in time. And the only thing that's going to be left there are whatever's powering cars in 2035 or 2040. That the days of having the junkyard and you can go in and, you know, dig this stuff up, junkyards are corporate America now. And if America keeps going corporate America, no, this stuff isn't going to, it's going to be there. It's just not going to be easily found or readily available. Maybe, since Will's throwing out ideas, maybe somebody ought to start figuring out how to internetize that at this point in time. It'll be a slow business right now, but maybe in 10 years.
if you want an original flathead engine, all right, that was the LS of you know, the 30s and 40s. Guess what? It's not that hard to find. You can still go find a flathead. You're not going to find it in a junkyard. No, they're gone. They've been gone. But I guarantee I could probably pull up Marketplace and find 10 or 15 flatheads that I could just go buy right now. So, you know, I don't think it may not be junkyard, you know, the exact junkyard right down the road from your house, but it'll be, you know, Facebook Marketplace or, you know, Buy Sell Bulletin or something like that, where you'll have to find your junkyard parts. They're just, you know, what's cool in a junkyard right now? Okay, maybe an LS engine, maybe some brakes off of a Corvette, but nobody's going and getting a part off of a Kia Soul to put on their hot rod, you know, like they did back in the day.
I walked through your shop one day and you were putting Ford Fusion parts on a hot rod.
I did.
Maybe, you know what? I
bet nobody listening can figure out which one it was on either.
I'll bet he just said that nobody's putting Kia Soul parts on a hot rod because that's what he's doing for SEMA. He doesn't want anybody else doing it.
Don't be giving all my secrets away. So
Put
Look
on
at
the
John
ticker
with
down
the
there.
banner ads. Oh,
Yeah, we brought up Blueprint Engines. If you want to check out the show, nodrivinggloves.com, episode 138.
it was not the Dart, Eric Cook.
No, the Dart had a lot of Nissan parts on it. It wasn't Kia parts.
No, it only had it did have Nissan parts, but I'll tell you something the Dart had nobody figured out. It did have Jeep Liberty air conditioned vents.
I think you told me that. I can't remember what car you told me you were putting the Fusion parts on.
Oh, yeah.
But I bet that next pickup that comes out is going to have these integrated Kia Soul taillights around the rear.
ooh, yeah.
Oh. But hey, if the part's cool, it doesn't matter what it comes. I guarantee there's something on a Kia Soul that I could find that I like. I don't know if I would use it on one of our builds or not. If it fit the build, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, the Dart had Nissan GTR door handles in external and internal and latches and all that stuff. It was pretty cool how we done that. And it had the seal that went from the door glass to the quarter glass. It was actually on the quarter glass. Was off of a little Dodge or Chrysler 200 hardtop convertible. So that, there are some late model car parts on just about every car we build, but I'm generally not going and getting them at the junkyard. I'm ordering them from local dealerships.
I'm trying to find an answer here for Eric Cook. And let's see if this actually does it.
He already said no. The Dart did not. What?
I was wondering if he was saying what was the Dodge Dart, but for those that are viewing,
no. He was guessing that the Dart was.
I understand what he was doing there, but for those that are watching that don't have an idea what the Dart was, I've popped up a picture of Will's infamous Dart that we do bring up on the show quite often.
Yep,
it's actually the only car he's ever built.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really hangs his hat on that one.
It does get brought up a lot.
Well,
so
it was kind of a groundbreaking car, and if it wasn't for some Poop Brown something, you might be even better known.
Oh.
When the world runs out of Chevy V8 engines, small block, big block, whatever whichever one you're using, what is the most unconventional engine you're going to go to hot rodding?
Oh man. The most unconventional. I guess we'll all go to rotary engines or something. I don't know.
Hey, rotaries can be pretty sweet. I mean,
they sound pretty wicked. Hey, me and Jason think a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm thinking I need to see something with like a Geo Metro 3-cylinder, something really, really, really top notch.
Doesn't Ford already have that in that one of their EcoBoost things?
Well,
the EcoBoost.
Patrick just said it because my Fusion was a 1.5 liter EcoBoost 3-cylinder.
Yep, there you go.
No. You know what you need to do? You need to use one of the was it Saturn, the lost styrofoam cast engines? That when you look at the block, it actually you can see the styrofoam. You actually see the styrofoam imprinted in it, and you need to use that as part of the showmanship of the engine. That styrofoam appearance.
I was thinking the metal work on the car all of a sudden has the styrofoam appearance,
there
like a dimpled golf ball.
Yeah, tie it all together. Just make it one big styrofoam car.
Just the roof. So it'd be like a mod top Chrysler, but
ooh.
And for the people listening, Jason Hill threw out rotary was his suggestion for that motor. And he also threw out the Lamborghini Diablo and the Nissan 300ZX share the same headlights. If there used to be a saying for the Lotus, or there used to be a thing at Lotus, when you were a new hire, you would be warned not to take the close parking spots, because the parking spots closest to the building in the 70s were usually empty. Because Chapman had, when he was designing cars, he would wander out into the parking lot and remove parts from employee cars to come in and try to see how it worked in his design. You know, the Fiat X19 and the Lotus Esprit share the same taillights and door handles and things like that. And who knows what else. There's so many Triumph parts and MG parts and that on some of the 60s and 70s Lotus. It was just common knowledge. It didn't happen every day, but there was a good chance you could come out and be missing a door handle, or, you know, missing a taillight or something out of your car, because he'd take it, try it, and he wouldn't go put it back. But so
I've been guilty of that.
That part scavenging.
Yeah, been guilty of that.
Stealing parts off the employees' cars.
Yeah.
Yep. Will, the modern day Chapman. Nice.
It hadn't happened very often, but I have went out and took parts off people's car and held up and see what we thought about it. So somebody had a Volkswagen here one time, and I popped the cup holders out because I thought they were really cool. The way you press a little button and they come out and they kind of transform into like cup holders, you know. So I figured out how to take the whole mechanism out. And
I'm trying to remember if it was the Saab or my ex-wife's Volkswagen EOS had the cup holder. You push the little button, it'd slide out, and then it would rotate over and then drop a little thing down to hold.
I think I still got them right here.
Now we'll actually walk off the show.
one of the aftermarket radio head units I put in one of my cars. If you push the right button, a little cup holder came out. Isn't that what that was?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it would come out with a shiny round coaster for you too.
Yes, it did. You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Except for the cup always fell off. There's no side support.
Well, it was a modern day take on opening the glove box, and you know they always had those little indentations to put your can on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not referring to the old Cadillacs that had the magnetic shot glasses and the bar set that came in the glove box.
But you know, speaking of that, I came across an interesting advertisement the other day from like I think it was like the 20s, of a keg that would go under the dash of a 20s era car and had a tap that came out.
Will's playing with his fancy little cup holders. Obviously, his friend with the Volkswagen never came back.
No, I actually went and bought them because I thought I was going to use it. And this was actually going to go in the dark. And
it's kind of funny. It actually looks like a CD drive. You could actually hide that with a radio head unit and really confuse people.
Yeah, I mean, how awesome is that? That's a cup holder. The reason I couldn't put it in the dark is Willie had one cup that the cup holders had to fit, and it wasn't big enough. I mean, so anyway.
Scavenging parts is how you build hot rods. I think we found a theme to the show finally.
That's what hot rodding is.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, Lane pointed it out, and I don't know of any other real junkyard that you can do that in. Walking around pull apart with the tape measure, and looking for stuff that may look cool. I even had the trouble. Well, when I was in high school and in my early 20s, and the custom trucks and that I was building, the junkyards wouldn't let you wander around the junkyard looking for parts. It was just an insurance thing. You had to tell them exactly what you want. How the hell do I know what I want if I haven't seen it? I used to do, would grab stuff, or you find things that have fallen off cars off the side of the interstate, see how it would work. And
just go to Walmart parking lot.
I was cheesy enough. I had repurposed a set of Mustang 2 quarter window louvers into a kind of a hood scoop type thing.
Ooh, nice.
Hey, I was poor, and 3M double stick tape. It kind of was cheap.
Better. It's probably better than just running machine screws just down through it, and actually drywall. I would have just run drywall screws right through it, just make it look like it was fastened on there.
And then painted the head of the screw the color of the truck.
You mean like they do Liberty Walk body kits?
Yeah. Just
I can't remember. I saw somebody with their Liberty Walk body kit on a Ferrari P8. Is that a P8? I can't remember. F8, whatever the newest Ferrari is. And it's got a Liberty Walk kit with the stupid bolt head caps. Things that drive John nuts. $20,000. I could have bought it out of J.C. Whitney and a Ranchero. Sorry, Keith. I had to take a drink.
Lane wants you to chrome the front of that bad boy and put it in with the chrome dashboard line.
So you see the profile here. The black is how it came from Volkswagen. This is a piece I actually made that was actually the contour where this thing fit in the dash of the Dart at. So, and it's just held on there with some button head screws. So you could just, take that off and do whatever you want to do with it.
3D print you a new face piece so it fits something.
Yep. Sell
it to one of your customers for $1,800 or something.
Ooh,
Big
yeah,
Oak Garage special custom.
Lane, if you need some cup holders, you know where they're at. I'll give them to you.
They'll replace the ones he took out of your Volkswagen.
I tell you what, bring me a jar of honey, and I'll trade you for the cup holders there.
What is honey code word for here?
I was going to say, Will's wife obviously doesn't watch or listen to the podcast.
his dad, him and his dad do. They've got a honey business. They got a bunch of honeybees and stuff.
It's called beekeeping. Is that what you're talking about?
Done. Okay, I'll see you soon.
Bring enough honey for everybody, because my wife and I love local honey. So just get it to Will, and he'll get it to me.
That's not local to you.
I'll actually be coming through Bowling Green, man, not this Monday, but next Monday. So I'm gonna stop by and have lunch with you.
Maybe if I'm here.
Why wouldn't you be? It's a Monday.
Because you're always coming through the weekend of Old Car Festival.
You just said you wasn't going to Old Car Festival.
I'm not sure yet.
Oh.
Don't talk to me like that.
Oh, Lord.
And it's funny.
Did you just lose John, Will?
I didn't lose John. John might have lost John.
Okay, John lost John. Yeah, he went all robotic, and now he's just dead.
Am I moving at all yet?
Oh, he's back. Look at that.
There you go.
Look
out, Mountain Honeybees. Get on there and order what you need.
All right. Thank you, Lane.
I was just saying, Will lives only an hour away from John, and I never get to have lunch with Will. He never comes to Birmingham. He goes to Bowling Green more often than he does Birmingham.
I never go south.
Bowling Green's cool.
We
have a lot of car stuff.
Oh, I keep hearing about it. This listener, Jason, tells me about all the cool stuff going on in Bowling Green. And I do want to give a shout out to Jason. Totally unrelated subject. I had asked a question on Facebook this week about camping and how the heck a 50-year-old guy learns how to camp, because I've camped once in my life and I want to try it. And I figured out why I don't camp, because out of the 18 or so responses I got on Facebook, everybody was telling me not to camp. But Jason actually was the only one who even gave me a place to camp at. So unfortunately, I won't camp at Barber Motorsports Park, but at least he gave me a location. I mean, some people said, "Oh, I'll lend you a tent. I'll do this for you." Okay, I have a tent. I didn't even know where to go with the tent. Now at least I know I can go to Barber Motorsports Park and probably get shot or eaten.
John, you are not a tent camper. I could go ahead and tell you. You just need to go ahead and buy a travel trailer or a motorhome, and that's how you camp.
He's a motorhome kind of guy.
I was kind of thinking teardrop trailer, but maybe
that'd be sweet.
So. You're gonna want air conditioning. 100%.
Oh, you can get air conditioned teardrop trailers.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what you're gonna have to have. I know you.
See, I'm a tent camping guy. Like that's how I grew up, tent camping.
The weather's just got to be right. I'm not going to tent camping in 100 degree weather. That's brutal.
I've been I was tent camping during a tornado. That was interesting. The tent collapsed on us. It was fun. Ludington State Park, Ludington, Michigan. Absolutely beautiful. Grew up every summer going there, tent camping. Fantastic place. I've gotten to the point and age in my life where I do have an air mattress now under the sleeping bag. Used to be sleeping bag on the ground, but I've moved up to the air mattress.
Somebody told me they've got a little foam thing. One of the guys from the cigar shop, like an inch thick, and that totally revolutionized sleeping outdoors.
It makes a difference.
And he's just as bad as me about needing air conditioning and heat. No.
I'd rather camp in the snow than camp in the heat.
I could almost agree with you.
It all.
Well, I guess maybe I'll talk to Derek off the air and maybe he can give me some camping tips other than watch YouTube, lay in the backyard on your back until it hurts and you've experienced it. Put a tent up in the backyard, and when you've bitten by mosquitoes enough, you've experienced camping.
Those are actually great recommendations, honestly. They truly are.
I actually forgot about that, but Lane's right. We were having a big camp out right here close to where my shop is, and there was a tornado come, and we all went and piled in my mom and dad's basement. It's pretty.
Now we can tie this right back to the automotive industry because, of course, early on in the 20s, auto camping was a big thing. You could actually get kind of a big, heavy canvas tent that would, and in the 20s, most cars all looked alike, a box on wheels. So pretty much a set pattern of a canvas and ropes and stakes would get you set up with a tent that would actually come off the side of the car, and you could open both doors on one side and kind of live, in the car and in the tent. There were also camp trailers back in the day, but interestingly, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before, there were two Pontiacs that came out with tent options from the factory. The 1974 Pontiac GTO, the one I owned, did not have it. We attempted to track one down and couldn't find one. And then the Pontiac Aztek. So, John, I think if you really want to experience camping, go out, find a used Pontiac Aztek with the tent option, and go camping.
That is right up John's alley.
The first one of those I learned of, actually, the 85 and 86 Caravans had a tent that attached to the side of them that was available through the Direct Connection catalog. And I've got a friend, and she's actually the only one that actually gave me real camping advice offline. And she's an ex-girlfriend from 30 years ago, and she started out laugh out loud, you camping, laugh out loud. So kind of Will's reaction there. But then, she pointed out how often she camps, and she's changing vehicles and getting to a minivan. And I suggested that kind of stuff. And she said, that was because there are a lot of companies making things that attach to all kinds of SUVs and hatchbacks and that to attach the tents to. So
we actually built one on the TV show that I designed. It was a Ford truck that we put a big rack on the back, and it's got a big tin on it. And I don't want to give too much away, but
see, Somebody suggested to me that I could rent a teardrop and try it before I bought a teardrop, and I did check, and there's one available in Birmingham. That's an off-road one, and it's got the lower area, I guess, for your gear, and then it's got a flat top thing that a tent erects on it, so you're way off the ground and the tent's up on top of it. So, and one of the reasons I think it's so cool is the trailer hitch that goes on a Mini Cooper S. It's a really slick installation. I would have never thought, because the Mini Cooper S that I have has side or center exit exhaust. So I could not figure out how you do a trailer hitch on it, but sure enough, somebody figured out how to do a really slick looking trailer hitch on those.
So. Holden's got it figured out. All you need is beer for camping. You just get drunk enough and fall asleep anywhere.
Yeah, but what if you don't drink beer?
Okay, well, y'all two are a little more sophisticated than myself. Yeah. I know John's the bourbon and cigar kind of guy, and
Derek's going to be the white wine.
Yeah, Derek's white wine.
White wine's disgusting.
Red,
Scotch, red wine, and a good White Russian. Gin and tonic. I like gin and tonic. Yeah.
Oh, Lane, email me after the show, or email nodrivinggloves@gmail.com, and I will send you a link to answer your question. I don't have it on this computer. I have it on my iPad, which is downstairs, where the link to where you can rent a trailer. It's actually one of those online places that people rent their own personal trailers. And there were like 3 or 4 different teardrops available, but you can rent just about anything you want. And it was less than $100 a day for the one with the tent. So.
And stay tuned for our upcoming spin-off podcast, No Hiking Boots.
Let me see here. Let me pop that email up for Lane there, just in case. Do I have it? Well, it's on the website. I don't have a banner for the email.
So if SEMA happens, which I hope it does, it seems like it is. I know there's a lot of folks backing out, but they actually have what they call an overland camping experience. It's becoming a huge thing. And it's its own little thing there at SEMA. They got their own little area. And a couple of years ago, I think it was the first year they had it. And it was pretty awesome walking through it, seeing all the creative ideas that all these companies have come up with of a way to, take your off-road vehicle and adapt camping gear to it. It was pretty impressive. And I'm sure that'll be a big part of the new West Hall this year at SEMA.
Well, you keep talking a little bit about overland camping. I haven't quite got the link to plug another show.
Well, I mean, you just Google search overland camping. Holy cow, it's huge. And, that was kind of what inspired me for that build that we did on the TV show was kind of an overland camping kind of thing. And I think the build, it's probably one of my favorite that we did on the entire TV show. So looking forward to that.
Back on episode 160, we interviewed the guys from Storyteller Overland, which is a Birmingham-based business that builds the conversions. They take the medium length Sprinter vans and build you one heck of a off-road type overland vehicle. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but hey, it tied to it, and I can plug in old episodes. So nodrivinggloves.com /160. You can hear Brent Lang from A Storyteller Overland talk about.
We used a Littner rack and a Free Spirit tent. And when you pop, the tent just kind of opens up, like that. And you crawl in, and it's a real nice memory foam pad. It was pretty nice. You could get up there and lay down and be very comfortable. It's up in the air though. I mean, it was set on top of the rack, and the rack was all the way to the roof of the vehicle. So when it was popped up, it was pretty tall. But it did look pretty awesome. Can't wait for everybody to see it.
And somebody was talking to me about that the other day, and we'll talk about that later on. But hey, we've hit 60 minutes. I mean, and
And none of us are Barbara Walters.
Hugh Downs. I'll be Hugh Downs. I'm Hugh Downs. That would be the show that used to have Geraldo Rivera on, which was the guy that opened Al Capone's vault. I think, wasn't Hugh Downs, Barbara Walters, Geraldo Rivera, like mid 80s on 60 Minutes?
Geraldo.
Well, do we have anything else? I derailed this to camping, but at least we tied it back to automotive, and there seemed to be some interest.
I'd just like to thank everybody that commented and involved themselves in the show. We encourage that and gave us some stuff to talk about. So it was pretty cool. Thanks, everybody.
Now, wait here, because all of a sudden John's Hugh Downs, Will is Larry King. Who am I going to get stuck being here, Eric?
I thought John looks more like, or Derek looks more like Larry King than me. Come on now.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see it.
I just heard a really cool interview with Larry King, obviously from a few years ago, and how to save an interview that started out wrong. It was
Mark talking about his
Mark Maron when he interviewed Larry King.
Dave Despain. There you go.
Dave Despain.
That's a good one.
All right.
That's a good one.
There we go. Yeah. Larry King. Did you ever see the Larry King with Jerry Seinfeld interview? Speaking of a car guy, Jerry Seinfeld. Boy, Larry King. He PO'd Jerry Seinfeld. Go back and watch the clip. It's interesting.
I think that was discussed in the when they were talking. I don't know. It was talking about interviews. Well, we're getting way off topic. At least you brought it to Jerry Seinfeld, and he's a car guy. We didn't talk anything about the Monterey auctions and everything. So great. Yay. We kept it out of that. And we
cars sold, cars didn't sell, Monterey auctions.
Yeah. Everybody said it was a lot of money and a lot of cars, but $300 million and $100 million of it was 5 cars. So, really they only sold $200 million worth of cars in my opinion. But another day, another A. I think I'm going to get out of here. I do think, like Will said, I thank everybody for commenting. It really keeps the show more interesting. We're really going to try 8:30 every Wednesday, 8:30 every Wednesday, YouTube, Facebook. And if you can't catch it there, the audio podcast comes out on Saturday or Sunday. So it'll be in your podcast catcher on Monday mornings. But that's it for me tonight, guys.
Adios.
See ya.